A Fox News alert. More drama expected in the Texas State House today. The state Senate floor is now open, and lawmakers will vote on a new redistricting map later today. Republicans are getting ready for another long day of delays from Democrats. And Texas Democrats in the House, as you know, delayed voting for several hours on Wednesday. If the Senate passes that map, it goes to Governor Greg Abbott's desk for his signature, and it would secure up to 5 more seats for Republicans in next year's midterm. So it's a big deal, and the whole country is watching. Garrett Tenney is at the state capitol right now in Austin, Texas. Garrett, what's going on?
Aisha, good morning to you. You remember it took the Texas House more than 8 hours to pass these new congressional maps on Wednesday. This time around, Democrats are once again expected to do everything they can to delay the inevitable passing of this bill. This time around, though, there are only 11 Democrats in the Senate who will be able to do that compared to 52 Democrats in the House. So they are still going to raise a lot of questions, introduce amendments. And last night, when this bill went through committee, we got a bit of a preview of what we'll see today.
Mr. Chairman, a 28.4% drop in black population in the redo of District 9. It's just coincidental. And that you're saying that this is not race-based.
Again, I haven't looked at any racial data, and I have tried very hard to not do anything that was race-based.
So we're again going to hear a lot of these arguments on the role that race played in the makeup of these new congressional districts as Democrats and outside groups prepare to unleash a flood of lawsuits against it. One group, the League of United Latin American Citizens, has already asked a federal court to set aside dates in September for an expedited hearing, writing, "The map is egregiously unconstitutional and its implementation must be immediately enjoined." As we've talked about, though, the clock is ticking because filing deadlines are coming up for the midterm elections. The primaries for these races are in March, and the more time that goes by, the less likely it is that the courts will step in to do anything on these maps before the midterm elections. Today, though, the big step is this first going through the Senate. It is a long day ahead that's expected. We'll keep you updated all along the way.
It was a long day Wednesday, too. Garrett Tenney standing by for us, watching all the fireworks. Thank you, Garrett. Want to bring in now Steve Hilton, Republican candidate for governor of California. Steve, good to have you on the program to get your thoughts on this. Obviously, you're running for governor because you think there is support for a possible potential Republican in the state of California. And I ask you, I want to bring that up because I want to know what the appetite is for Democrats in this state to change the Constitution completely and throw out this committee that looks at redistricting. I've been talking to a lot of sources in the NRCC, and they say the polling is all over the place. Gavin Newsom says there's support. What do you think? Will Democrats actually go along with this?
Well, first of all, Aisha, there's only barely a majority for their scheme, even when they phrase it in the most favorable possible terms. They got 52%. When people understand what this really is, which is a power grab, simply to show that Gavin Newsom is the one fighting to take it to Trump. It's all about his presidential ambitions. It's got nothing to do with Texas. And by the way, they gave the game away on that because all along he's been saying this is just responding to Texas. And there was, in fact, in the first version of the California legislation, what they called a Texas trigger, that it would only go into effect if Texas went ahead with their maps. Right at the last minute, they took that out. So this is their plan all along. They want to steal seats from Republicans. They've already gerrymandered the maps in California. That's why for 40% or so of the vote, Republicans only have 17% of the House seats. So I think when we get out there and make the arguments and also make the point, why are we spending $250 million on this? Nobody asked for this. We've got the highest unemployment in the country, the highest poverty rate, the highest gas prices, housing costs, costs for electricity, water. Everything's a disaster in California. And Gavin Newsom's doing this simply to show that he's going to be the guy that's going to take on Trump. It's absolutely outrageous. So I'm confident we can win the campaign. But actually, even before we get to that, I'm planning a lawsuit to stop it from happening in the first place so we don't waste this money, because it is illegal and it is unconstitutional.
Okay, so you're fighting Gavin Newsom in California, but everyone that I talked to here in Washington thinks this is going to spread nationwide. This is going to be a fight that's going to go all the way to the midterms. It's going to get very, very messy, and a lot of lawsuits are going to follow. And I know a lot of California Republicans and New York Republicans in blue states, do not like this, do not like the redistricting fight, because they think that eventually it's going to result in them going extinct. I mean, there are already a number of states out there that don't even have a single Republican representative in the House, in Congress. And I find that hard to believe, that there is no representation for the number of conservatives in states like Connecticut or Delaware or Vermont, and Maryland only has one. So is there any concern that this is going to spread and get so out of control that Republicans start losing seats in states where they barely have any?
Well, I think if you look at the whole country, if it's an arms race in terms of gerrymandering, Republicans are right now in a better position to win it, if that's what truly happens. But of course, none of us wants that. And the truth is that what California voters chose over 10 years ago in 2 ballot initiatives in 2008 and 2010 for an independent process, that's what I think most people actually want. However, that independent process in California was hijacked by the Democrats. That's why it's just not true to say that Texas started this. The California Democrats took the independent process, totally corrupted it. For example, the lawyers that they hired to do the process were DNC lawyers, who were the lawyers for the Obama-Biden campaign. The guy that they hired to do the maps was the exact same Democrat activist that they've just hired to do this second round of rigged maps. So I think we should go back to the integrity of the independent system, but that is not what we have in California right now.
Okay, Steve, I just want to mention here, we're looking live at the Senate floor in Austin at the Texas State House, and they've just gavelled in, so they're about to start debating this redistricting map, and it might be a couple of hours here, so we're watching that very closely. I want to move on to this other topic that I know you're going to have a lot to say about. The House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer says that the committee may call on former Vice President Kamala Harris to testify next in their Biden auto pen investigation. Here's the chairman just yesterday.
But I think that it would be helpful to hear from Kamala Harris. We haven't decided whether or not we're going to issue the subpoena or not, but certainly she's welcome to come to the committee. And I think that, you know, if I were her and wanted to have a political future, I would want to set the record straight on a lot of this stuff, because it's going to haunt her entire political career. Because
So the House Oversight Committee currently scheduled to interview 3 more high-level Biden aides this September as soon as the House reconvenes. I just talked to Ian Sams yesterday, Steve, and I thought it was so wildly interesting that Ian Sams told the committee he'd only ever met in person with the president twice. In his entire time there, he only had 2 in-person interactions with the president, and yet he went on live TV, he was on X, he was all over the place talking about how mentally fit the president was.
You're exactly right. It was so shocking, and it really shows the value of what Jim Comer and his team are doing here, getting to the truth of what happened, the biggest scandal in American political history, as many people have correctly described it. I mean, everyone was lying. They were all running around saying, yeah, he's fine. Remember Karine Jean-Pierre? I can't keep up with him. It's all a lie, we're now realizing. And Kamala Harris is the biggest liar of them all and the most responsible. I agree with Jim Comer. He said that if she doesn't clean this up, it's going to haunt her political career. Now, some people may say, what political career? She already backed out of running against me for California governor. There's no appetite for her, even in the Democratic Party, to run for president, which is clearly what she wants to do. But the point is, of all the people involved, she had the greatest responsibility to tell the truth. She swore an oath as vice president. And if anything, she should have been the one leading the effort to get him to go, to stand down, use the 25th Amendment, whatever it is. There needs to be accountability, and she needs to be at the top of the list. So this investigation needs to keep going, and she should definitely be called to testify.
Well, she is on a book tour now, as you know, and has a lot to say about that failed presidential run. And I would love to find out how much time she actually got in person with the president as well. Steve Hilton, thanks for joining us on the program. Good to see you.
Thank you, Aisha.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.